but we wanted to still take the time to make sure that everyone had their opportunity to hear what we have to say about some of the announcements that were happened at Dreamforce, and also to contribute, if they want to contribute, to their thoughts on some of the announcements that happened, and some of the learnings that happened over the last week. So very informal. I have a presentation to help guide us, and then we'll get to a roundtable where we can talk about some things and how they might impact us or not impact us. So to get started, for those that aren't aware, Dreamforce is the annual conference for Salesforce. At it, they usually announce quite a few new features. And there's a lot of marketing around it. For those that aren't aware, Salesforce is really good at marketing. So there's a lot of marketing, a lot of hype. And a lot of the times, the biggest challenge is to go through these announcements and understand what they really mean for us. And that's where we spend a lot of our time, is saying, okay, they've announced X. What does this mean for us? What should we be considering? How do we want to make sure that we're getting that benefit of whatever they've announced? And that's the lens we're trying to put on some of these announcements today. We're also trying to make sure that we share, for those that aren't aware, what announcements came out. So without further ado, I'll just start. Our goal today is to just provide some of the top announcements. We can't possibly share everything that was ever announced at Dreamforce, even if we had weeks. So we really just picked the really, really high profile ones and thought we could have a discussion around those ones. There's some features that were announced that we can talk about, and talk about how that might impact, just make our lives easier. I know when we did our internal review, there were some great features that the team members brought to my attention, where I was like, this is great, this is going to make this little area easier. And at the end, we can talk about those when we get to the roundtable. So talk about the top announcements. Really, I just chose 4, the ones that everyone's talking about. Talk about the takeaways for those. What are we doing? What are we considering when it comes to those 4 of those areas? And then we thought we'd have the roundtable discussion in case there's questions or any feedback that both internally with TechShare and Avocado, or the entire team, the partners, everyone want to share if they were able to attend. So the largest announcement that they made was around Agentforce. And Agentforce, I'm going to share what it is, what it means. Some announcements were definitely larger than others, and this one all other announcements revolved around this announcement from the larger strategic announcement standpoint. So when they started announcing some features or some directions within some of the other areas of Salesforce, it always kind of tied back to Agentforce. So Agentforce is really being branded as a brand new product. Is it brand new? No. It's the evolution of their Einstein 360 platform. For those that don't know what that means, they've been working on these things for years, but it is a huge difference, and there's some really key differences and a few architectural differences that make this different than a lot of the past Einstein announcements. So I'm not saying there's nothing new. What I am just trying to point out is it's not 100% brand new concept. We've never seen this before. There's some amazing new features, but in true Salesforce fashion, a lot of times they take an existing product and rebrand it as a new name. So all these Einstein features that we used to see in the past, whether it was Genie, Einstein, all these things that were being presented to us, we're now seeing those same things being presented as Agentforce, bigger, better, and we're seeing some new things being introduced into that area, both architecturally and feature-wise, that change things. So I hope that made sense how I presented that. They're kind of presenting Agentforce as this human-ready action that can assist you. So they call them agents. They're branding it always as human agents because they're not trying to say it automates 100%. It still requires humans in a lot of cases anyways. And they're viewing it almost like the AI helping you run every aspect of your business. I'm going to get into how that impacts us at Avocado and at TechShare a little later and some of our takeaways. But the demos they did were all around chatbots. So not all around, a lot of them were around chatbots. And what I'll share about that is that's just the easiest way to explain it. So what does this mean? An agent, as they're presenting it, has all these attributes, and that's different than having, a chatbot that just responds to a chat, like that there's a lot of similarities there where you can create these automated chatbots, but it's not an agent. An agent to them has these characteristics or attributes, like the role, like it can access other data. So they spend a lot of time not just saying, hey, take these chatbots and automate. If someone says hello, say hello back. If they ask for this, do this, send them this response back. It can look at all these data sources and predict what to say back. It can also take actions. So this is the one that kind of interests us, like how does that work? How do we create our actions, our API calls, our functions within Avocado, and potentially future-proof these things, which we're going to get into in a little bit, because we want them to be able to be used in these contexts in the future, should this be what Salesforce is claiming it is the future of Salesforce. Now, that's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen eventually in their eyes. So, what capabilities do they have to do? So it's not just, hey, I'd like to sign up for swimming lessons. Here's your swimming lessons. It's here's your swimming lessons. Which one would you like to sign up for? And then signing them up for it. So through these actions, it would sign people up for things. It would actually take the action that's required. Guardrails, because they're using AI for this, there's some really important guardrails where you don't want to go outside of certain things. You don't want to both share confidential information and or do things that are going to cause issues for your customers. So they put in a lot of guardrails, and that's an attribute of an agent. Then the last one is around channels. Like, where do they work? Like I said, there's a lot of demonstrations and talk like I just did about chatbots because it's the most common and easiest way to explain how these agents work. And that's how they're explaining it to us. But there's no doubt it'll go across channels. So it doesn't matter if it's, chat, SMS, a phone, voice, video. There's a lot of different ways that this can interact with customers. And it's pretty powerful when you think about it in that context. We're not there yet. No one really is, especially in our business, being recreational management. Like, not a lot of people are down that path yet. And, I see us getting ready for that, which we'll talk about later, but I don't know that not anyone's in a position where it will take over the entire system at this point. I think it's something we definitely want to consider, though, as we move forward. Please stop me if you have questions as I go through this. So, they talk about Agentforce, and they talk about in this announcement that they've created agents for Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud. Like, all the clouds have agents now that you can build upon. And there's hundreds, I think at the last I heard, is thousands of these agents that have built-in functions. So in other words, the core actions you take in native Salesforce right now, which not a lot of our customers, like, it's not core to our business. It's an added value, but we're using Salesforce more as a platform than only to send a mailer out, only to do something within a CRM. So all these extra added value items will be there for us to do. And then again, should it makes sense for us to do, we would potentially change our architecture. So a couple of the additional announcements they made were around, sorry, I'm going to back up. How does it all work, I think, is an important next step to talk about the next announcements. Salesforce has been buying a lot of organizations, a lot of IP, a lot of software. um, they've spent billions. If you see any of the reports, every day it seems you're hearing about a new 400, 500, $1 billion acquisition of a different piece of software. And a lot of that's been in AI in the past and will continue in the future as per their announcements. But my point in sharing that is, if you look at how other organizations in the past have acquired other businesses and grown, they tend not to integrate their software very well. And this is very promising when you look at how Agentforce works, because what it tells us is they've started that integration. They're not just keeping them as silos. And even Salesforce has done this in the past. If you look at Marketing Cloud, it's a separate app that they bought, and it sits separate. And if you want to synchronize with Marketing Cloud emails sent from that Marketing Cloud application, it literally copies the data into Salesforce. It's not stored in Salesforce. So when you think about that, this is a really good first step, or a really good indicator, I'd say, that Agentforce is different. What they've done is they've taken their data cloud, which, by the way, was all done through acquisitions, MuleSoft and all these other acquisitions they made, and they've integrated it into the core. So now it's part of everything they're doing. More to come on that in a few minutes. So it all starts with data cloud. Data cloud in the past was something you had to buy. Now what they're saying is, if you use Agentforce, data cloud will be how you access the data. Whereas before, you had to buy a license for data cloud. And that's a good thing in my eyes, because it used to be you had to buy so many licenses. Now they're realizing, why are we going to force this, use a different technology than one of the ones we already have for our other applications like Agentforce? So data cloud is integrated. We've been keeping a very close eye on data cloud. More to come on that in a minute. The AI piece, they switched. There's still a lot of Einstein, still a lot of different technologies they're using, but the big announcement was that they're using Atlas as a reasoning engine. I personally don't understand that fully. I'm not going to speak to that technically. I'm going to just state that, I think what we need to know as customers is that it is a separate engine they're using for their reasoning engine, and it's called Atlas. I've been reading up on it. I'm not comfortable speaking about it yet. I think I need another 40 hours to understand about what this is. And I would urge anyone who does know to please let us know when we get into the round table. And then we got the action where, this agent is going to execute an action. And, the cool thing about that is it uses all the native Salesforce actions like a flow or Apex code. And when you see Apex, for those that aren't aware, that's how Avocado works. Avocado is Apex. So everything you do, whether you sell a membership, take a payment, whatever it is, you're running Apex code. So the good news is that's using the technologies that we already have in place, and we can tie into those, making them ready for an agent is what we want to talk about in the future. And then flows, as you probably know, we've been focusing a lot of effort in the last probably year on flows, because we realize they're native and will benefit from all these future technologies. So that's a bit about how Agentforce works. They did announce as part of Agentforce a prompt builder, a model builder, and they call it, I believe it's Agentforce Studio. And to its truest form, it's not new. Once you pull, it looked new when they announced it, but when you start pulling the covers off, it's the Einstein Copilot Studio that they've been using for some time, rebranded as Agentforce Studio. So there really isn't a brand new solution here. It's just they've realized, hey, it's ready now, so we're going to rebrand it. That's a common theme we see in Salesforce, where they announce something, it really doesn't take off because it's not ready for prime time, and then the next few years they announce it again as a different name to get more momentum. So we're kind of in this position where we're like, is it ready yet? And we're not sure, right? So you don't want to invest too early. If we invested in Einstein Copilot Studio, like we just talked about, the stuff we had done wouldn't be reusable fully. We'd now have to redo new stuff. So investing our efforts at the right time when it's ready is the key. And that's what we're trying to ascertain is it ready yet? I know I'm going a little deep in the theory of how we think about it, but I think it's important to share with everyone. So that's Agentforce. The second announcement was really around Data Cloud and how any new development really is going to be um, integrated with Data Cloud. So they've announced thousands of integrations. We've been keeping a very close eye on Data Cloud. When you look at it, the one that we've been watching very, very closely is Zero Copy. Zero Copy as part of Data Cloud, we thought was going to solve some data usage concerns. It isn't quite going to solve that yet, but we're hopeful still that in the future it will solve that. What Data Cloud allows you to do is, rather than storing your data in Salesforce, store it somewhere else. Or if you already have it stored somewhere else, access it from Salesforce. And with Zero Copy, it doesn't copy that data into Salesforce, is what we're very hopeful about, so that you didn't have all this extra data coming in because of the data constraints we're under. So again, that's just one reason we're watching that. The other reason is there's a huge movement around unstructured data and utilizing it. I don't think we're quite there yet, but looking at emails and chats and video and audio, like we're not there yet, but there are organizations doing that and accessing it the same way as you would access other data you would normally access. So it creates this middle tier where you don't have to write whole different systems to access different types of data, which is great for us. So a little more to come on that in a little bit. And they also have announced, they announced thousands of integrations, but more importantly, sub-second access, because they had these integrations for years. These aren't new integrations, they're new technology to these integrations, which actually makes them usable now. Because in the past, when we've tried it, I'm going back years here now, like 4 years ago, they just weren't responsive enough. You could access all these other data points, but it slowed the system down to a crawl because it just didn't perform. They're now touting sub-second response time, and we're looking forward to proving that and seeing it so that we can benefit from some of this stuff. But it does have an impact on how where we store our data and how we access the data in the future. So that's the second large announcement that they made. Or sorry, third large announcement. And then they also talked about foundations. So I wanted to pause here and and point out, it's not to be confused with Salesforce Foundation. This has an S on the end of it, so it's an actual product. So Salesforce Foundation is the nonprofit offering that you guys all benefit from. And Salesforce Foundations is features that are offered across all products. So what they've done, and this is the exciting piece from my assertion, when we reviewed this, when we first saw this, I think I saw Rob's eyes go all wide because it was very exciting when we first saw it. But when you start reading the fine print, it's clear what it is. So what they've done, from the best that we can ascertain, is this: all the new features they're offering in Agentforce, they're using the newer technology to offer those things. And like I said earlier, rather than requiring you to buy a Data Cloud license, they're now including it as a foundation item so that you can use the Agentforce without having to buy the Data Cloud license. That's not to say you can use all the features of Data Cloud. They've only included the foundation of it so that you can use it as a foundational item. If you want to use the other features, you have to pay per use, essentially. So they've limited the use of it to within the products they're offering, and they've limited the number, like a pay-per-use type style, on most areas. So while they're including Agentforce to everyone who has a Salesforce license, which includes you guys, everyone here gets this, they're only allowing 1,000 conversions, 1,000 leads, which doesn't get you very far with Agentforce. So you're going to end up having to buy licenses if you want to use it in any real manner. But it does give you access to it, really, is what it's done. They've also given you commerce, they've given you marketing to a certain degree. And again, to do anything almost functional, you're going to have to buy more licenses. But we're being very aware of what they're doing in foundations, and going to keep a close eye on that to see if it could benefit you guys in the future. If there's something that doesn't require additional licenses, or if it does, being able to offer it to you in that sense. So the key message here is changing the architecture, not just the offering of the license. Because we all know Salesforce definitely is not going to give away a lot for free. They're going to charge us for it. So those are the announcements we wanted to go through. I don't know if anyone wanted to share additional announcements before we got into takeaways. I'll just dive into the takeaways. So as a takeaway, as a couple takeaways, I thought I'd go in the order of some of these announcements. In Avocado and TechShare, our takeaways for these technologies are: one, we're considering Agentforce's future capabilities, compatibilities, when we're looking at how we do things. So when we're developing a new feature or a new flow or a new piece of code, it's something that we are going to consider. We're not going to potentially change everything to be 100% compatible with Agentforce right now, but we're going to say, hey, if we did it using this technology or go left slightly, in the future, we'll be able to use Agentforce, whereas if we don't, if we go down this path on the right, we won't be able to. We are looking and talking, very, very early talks about trialing and exploring how it can help with our internal efficiencies. So up till now, we've really only talked briefly about how Agentforce can be used for customer actions. I think one of the things I heard, which I don't know if it excited me or scared me, but our development team and one of our team leads, Elizabeth, who you may or may not have met, talked about how you can use Agentforce in the development area to kickstart your code. Now, she was very careful. I don't think those are the exact words she used, because it's not going to write code for you. It's going to get you started. So a lot of housekeeping things, like setting up your structure and things like that might take you 20 minutes to get started, I think could be done automated now. It's not going to actually write the entire thing for me and take take away the need to write this code and the need for developers, but it is going to get me started and make my life easier as a developer, potentially. We want to try that and see if that happens. There's a lot of things that it might do for administrators, for the users, for consultants, as we're setting up things for people. So those are the things that we're looking at benefiting from in our internal efficiencies. We are looking at reviewing the potential Avocado paths. So, we've often thought about the actions of registering for a program, and how those requests come in. Up till now, it's been, you call in, you email in, someone goes to a computer and types it in. Is there a better way for us to help our customers? And if there's an interest there to have like an online chat or something like that, we want to hear that from you to make sure that we're investing in that area in the future. So those are the types of discussions I want to have in that, as we talk through this. Thoughts from you guys that I'm interested in learning about now are, is anyone exploring AI or automated response even in an automated manner, in any manner? Are you using SMSs? Are you using chat? Are you still using email and traditional voice methods, or is there something happening there? So those are the questions we have for you guys. I'll definitely call on you in a few more minutes as we get to the round table. When we get to the data cloud announcements, like I mentioned, we're keeping a very close eye on this. We're not so much focused on the unstructured voice and video data at this point. We're more focused on how do we make sure that we get the right data out of in and out of financial systems, and in and out of, and is the data stored in the right place to begin with? Because we all know storing the financial information as it is right now in our Avocado system requires storage. So we're looking to see if there's any quick wins there or wins in the future. And then foundations, we're keeping an eye on, like I said, and we will be looking at what it offers for you guys. So those are our key takeaways from those announcements. Our key takeaways in general, as I heard them from our team, are there's some cautious optimism. We're optimistic about the future of this platform. We're reviewing our architecture. We think now is the time to make sure that it's future ready for these things, because it's not the first generation of these types of announcements, second. So it's more realistic for us now to look at this and say, okay, as we do things, how do we integrate? And then we're going to dive in to the foundations, as we mentioned. So those are the key takeaways for us. That's really all we had to share today. We knew it was going to be about a half hour. We have a lot of other learnings, but they were so deep, we chose not to go into them today. I would like to open the table now and just see if there's anything that anyone wants to share. Any thoughts? Did anyone get a chance to attend, for example, the Dreamforce keynote? TechShare did. Ella, anything? And were you able to spend some time to attend it, or no?
No, I wasn't able to, but it's exciting. I mean, especially the concept of being able to get the system to do things, take action on it, was the one that piqued my interest the most.
Seeing the demo, Ella, I think helps. I'm not I didn't demo anything here, so it's hard. I can put myself in your shoes and think, that'd be hard to understand what I just said without having have seen the keynote demo. So I do get that.
It was really cool. If you get a chance to watch that part, it was really, really cool to watch the demo.
Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to. Ella.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the most interesting thing, if we can get the help that people need by not only directing them to do it, but to do it for them. That would be the most interesting one.
I think, as Andrew just mentioned, we can send out a link to the keynote. It's something that you could have on in the background or on the side if you're, doing some paperwork or something, because it is interesting, and it's well worth the time, in my opinion. Anyone else have any thoughts or feedback? Sarah?
I know you've heard a little bit of mine, but I am happy to share.
Please.
So I think, to your point, Ella, that was really exciting. It was cool to see. We will send out a link to the with this recording to everybody, just so that if they do want to see it, they can. It not necessarily in terms of Agentforce, but it did make me at least start thinking about different ways that AI could help with Avocado in the future, if that is something we want to, and wherever we do want to take that. I think that might be really cool. The other thing that really stood out to me was during Marketing Beyond acquisition, retention, and adoption in tech. They talked a lot about making sure you were meeting the people you're trying to maintain or retain rather at the right time, making sure you're sending that right message, making sure that's all really important, but also making sure that the metrics, both micro and macro, were available to everybody to get that buy-in, to get them adapting into that tech. Because I think that's a piece that it's easy to lose. There's certain people that really like that data, and they don't realize that there's other people that would appreciate that buy-in as well. So that was the other piece that really stood out to me.
I'm glad you said that, Sarah. Something that I took out of everyone's comments, not just yours, but listening to our entire team, because we had our team attend various sessions, and then they shared what they learned, their key takeaways at these sessions. And a lot of it was just reminding ourselves, right? I've heard you say those things you just said to us right now before in the past. these aren't new to us, but they're reminders that we need to focus on them. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else want to share what their feedback was? Yes, Caitlin.
Apologies, I am just at a car dealership waiting for my car, so I'm sorry if there's a bunch of background noise. But I know from kind of Calgary's perspective, this is quite exciting, especially the Agentforce stuff. We've been working a lot over the past couple of years to kind of expand our kind of customer support through various channels, I think is the key part there. Like we have our engagement center to have kind of phone support, not just at our front desks. We've started using case management, both web to case and email to case, and those have all been really big improvements. So it's exciting to see that as we're kind of growing that, there continues to be more, well, sorry, so much background noise, but more evolution and opportunity for us to kind of continue growing. And I know chatbot-ish, like the chat option on the website is something we're definitely interested in. I'm gonna mute myself now, sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Caitlin. And I will say, I think there hasn't been a lot of automation in that world, right? It's always been like, oh, I can help you, and then you go do it, not just self-autonomous help. And I think that's what's next. This is very timely. Rather than going to the web page and searching and then having to call or email someone or chat someone even saying, hey, where's my swim lesson? Actually having an agent give it to them and potentially having the agent have the ability to sign them up for it, that's pretty powerful. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Anyone else feel like they want to share any feedback or lessons learned or anything? Yes, Rachel.
I'll just add, obviously, I echo a lot of the AI sentiments, but there was a couple of things not mentioned in the keynote I'm pretty excited about. One of them being the user list view is now filterable the same way you would filter like programs or instances. So you can filter them like a normal view in Salesforce instead of having to create a separate view. That's coming, I believe, in winter 25 for the release. So if anyone's ever had to be in there and change who you're searching for to find a user, this is going to make that way easier. So very small quality of life change that I'm very happy about.
I wouldn't say it's small, but yes, I agree. That's great. Anything else, Rachel?
Nope.
Oh, cool. I was just trying to pull that up. I apologize. I had it ready and then I didn't. I should have queued it up as soon as you started talking because I knew you were going to say that because you shared that with us in the last one too. Yeah. Anyways, I can't find the screenshot real quick here, but that's going to be nice. Any other things, Andrew? Do you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. One of the things that stuck out to me about Agentforce and like how impressive it was versus like how they structured their AI model versus like other companies was how it was based on your existing data, the relationships between them, and also everything else inside your Salesforce environment. So just like a note that if this sort of thing interests you, but you're not looking to immediately jump in, a reminder that Salesforce has a lot to offer and to start working on, say, even like something below it to help you so that when you are actually interested in getting Agentforce up and running, that you've already done some of the work and that work has probably already helped your business.
Yeah, I agree. Fully agree. I think you're right on there. Thanks for sharing, Andrew. The view of what Rachel said is here, in the user setup, it was always very hard to find your users, especially when you have thousands of them, if, you're sorting your customer users, but being able to see the lists the same way you see normal lists is pretty powerful now, having filters on it and such. That's great. Excellent. Anyone else want to share? It's not mandatory, but if you have any questions or anyone wants to share, please do. I think we're planning our next user group, which won't be as I was talking with the team, and I'll just share this. For some reason, and I think I'd learned by now. I'm 50 years old, but for some reason, I've done these types of user groups a lot, but they never get the attendance. They never do, and I can never figure out why. Because it's always like, well, this is great stuff, But for some reason, like Dreamforce and conferences and recap of conferences, people don't want to usually come to. So I think that's why we have a very low turnout today. But because our normal user groups have really good turnouts. So we'll plan out the next user group. If you have any ideas of what you would like to see in the next user group, please let us know. If there's no one else that has to share, the only thing I will share is, Dreamforce has a rollout across multiple areas of like a mini Dreamforce. They call it World Tour. Now, the only thing I'm a little confused over, and I'm expecting it to change, but right now they've only announced Toronto in Canada. I'm not sure why. And in the US, New York, where else in the US? Dallas is on December 10th, Ella. So this is like a mini Dreamforce. It's free. You sign up, and they have the most common, like a consolidated version of Dreamforce. But all the key messages and key sessions are all there. And it's a really good use of a day, especially if it's in your local area. I know they always did Calgary and Vancouver and a few other places, but I don't see those this year under any schedule. And this is the only schedule I've seen that's not on their events page yet, which is confusing to me too. So long story short, if you can go to World Tour, you should try. It's good use of a day. And I know our team's really excited because Toronto's only 2 hours away, and they really want to go on December 12th. So thank you very much, everyone. And I look forward to talking to you in the next user group.